I do admit that we time our training runs around our tours so you get a chance to see the enthusiasm that the dogs have for what it is that they do so well. Now, Jeff out there with a dog named Burglar. Burglar is going to be in the front position. That would be one of our lead dogs tonight. You probably knew that much anyway. The dogs that are in the front position, dog or dogs, you can run a single lead or a pair lead. They are the lead dogs. Typically, half or more of your Iditarod team will be made up of dogs that are capable of taking their turn out front. But tonight it looks like Burglar is going to get his shot in the spotlight. The dog right in front of the ATV is in the wheel position, the back dog. That dates back to the horse buggy days when they had a carriage out there, a couple of pairs of horses, the one right in front of the carriage is referred to as the wheel position. I use that terminology in sled dog talk. Eventually there'll be a dog right behind the leader. The second position back is called the swing position. They help swing the team around the curves and such. Now you can run a dog sled with one dog. You can run a dog sled with 25 or 30 if you dare. That's a tremendous amount of power. We have found that 6, 7, 8 dogs is about optimum size for our training runs. Plenty of power, and we have good control over that kind of dog. Now I admit we are not using a sled. Sleds are designed for running on ice and snow. They steer and stop on ice and snow. They don't do very well on dry ground. So we use the ATV instead in lieu of a sled. But everything in front of the ATV is identical to what we've been doing in the wintertime. And she's going to be gone momentarily, so get your orders. And if you miss that, she will be back. You'll get a chance to see the team return to the yard in 5 or 10 minutes here. Oh. Well. Now we do use that ATV in lieu of a sled. Those dogs are incredibly powerful athletes. They pull that machine all on their own. In fact, they tried to leave before we were ready the other day. Even with the brake on, it started skidding down the driveway. But we run it in gear because that's a lot heavier than what we're expecting them out of the wintertime and effectively be overtraining them. So we want to keep them at a constant speed of about 10 miles an hour. So Quinny will be keeping the machine in gear, and she'll provide a little assistance or resistance as needed. Anyway, they'll be back. You're going to see them return to the yard. Now that it is a little quieter around here. No guarantees how long it'll last. This is a dog yard. But I'd like to start with telling you about those puppies you were just told me. Summertime is puppy time here at the homestead. We have all of our litters of puppies in summertime, but perhaps not for the reason you're thinking. We, of course, are breeding our top racing females with our top racing males. You might have predicted that. But we purposely do our breeding in the spring, have our pups in the summertime, so that by the time fall and winter rolls around, Mom has weaned her pups and she's ready to rejoin her racing team. If we were to have puppies in the fall and winter months, Mom would be down on perhaps the entire racing season dealing with her puppies. So this is by design. There does happen to be a very nice side benefit to having puppies in the summertime, though. And that's what you all do. We just don't get a lot of visitors in January. And we enjoy sharing the puppies with our guests, and I think pretty much across the board our guests enjoy holding the puppies. That's actually part of their training. It's socialization. It's very important for a sled dog to be well socialized. During the first 8 weeks or so of their lives, they will be meeting hundreds of different people. You all hold them a little differently, you smell a little different. Somebody put one under their jacket earlier. This morning, somebody put one in a bag. So they get a lot of handling in the first 8 weeks or so of their lives. And it's important for a sled dog to be well socialized because when they're out on the race trail, they're going to be meeting hundreds of strangers. At the checkpoints, there'll be veterinarians and race officials and fans and such. There are literally thousands of people at the start of the Iditarod, and we want our dogs to be comfortable with that interaction, not too scared, not too nervous, not too shy either. So, when you get home from your vacation and somebody asks what you did up there in Alaska, you can look them right in the eye and say, I trained, so Jeff Kings, I did not Husky. Because that's exactly what you did. You don't need to elaborate. I do appreciate your help with that. Had several people ask me what the puppies' names are. Well, we have quite a few puppies every summer. Our kennel, Jeff's kennel, typically has 3 or 4 litters of puppies, and they vary in size. We've had litters as large as 13 and as small as 1. When we had a litter of 1, that pup's name was Uno. And they do all get names, but I don't get to help with the naming. Abby, Easy, they don't get to help with the naming. Not even Jeff King gets to name his own sled dogs. His 3 daughters decided when they were quite young that puppies were their department, and they've been naming the puppies ever since. They came up with a great system. For each litter of pups, they come up with a theme name, and then all the puppies are named within that theme. Helps them to brainstorm for names. We need to come up with 15 to 20 every year. And it helps people get to know who's related to who. When the girls were quite young, there were a lot of Walt Disney and cartoon characters running around out here. There was a Lion King litter, they had a Winnie the Pooh litter, Kanga, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore. They had a litter of 3 males. They decided to name them after their favorite breakfast meats. There was ham, bacon, and sausage. When the girls matured, the themes began to mature. They often named litters after subjects that they were studying in school. When they studied the different states in the United States, they had a litter named after some of the states. We had Texas, Jersey, Kansas, Vermont, Dakota, Utah. When Jersey had pups, they thought of the Jersey cow. They got kind of creative. We had Angus, Heifer, Holstein, and Brahma, the cow litter. They didn't have television at home. Satellite television has been available up here for 25 or 30 years, but the Kings didn't have it. They didn't even have electricity in the early days. But the kids were exposed to television when they went to visit their friends, and they became fond of one show in particular. They had to wait a couple of years before they got the right configuration of males and females. And when they did, all of a sudden we had Joey, Ross, Chandler, Monica, Phoebe, and Rachel from the Friends TV show. At that point, Jeff kind of put his foot down and said, hey, if you're going to name a litter after your favorite show, I'd like you to name one for mine. Before too long, we had Radar, Trapper, Klinger, Hawkeye. Kind of backfired on Jeff, though. He had to spend the next few years going down the race trail yelling out hot lips to his lead dogs. It is fun to see what they come up with. They are still in charge of doing the naming. They've been working for the family business for years, ever since they started it, working reservations and all sorts of positions. The youngest daughter, Ellen, will be joining our staff in just a week or so when she gets back from college. So the puppies that you were holding are from this kennel have not been named yet, but when Ellen arrives, she will name them. And we will post those names on Facebook. If you're familiar with Facebook, you can like us on Facebook and follow the puppies in the naming process and perhaps see the puppy that you were holding tonight and what name Ellen came up with for them. Now, we also have other mushers. Our socialization program is so good that other mushers will bring their females here to have their puppies to help us socialize them. So we do have puppies to share all summer long, even though all of them are not from this kennel. Now, the puppies will stay together with their mothers in pens for 6 to 8 weeks or so. We let mom decide when to do the weaning. We figure she's the best judge of that, and it varies from mom to mom. Sometimes the litter size has something to do with it too. But after about 3 weeks, we'll start giving mom a little break during the daytime, take her out to the dog lot for a while, and we'll start integrating some soaked, dried dog food into the puppy's diet. We feed them in a common food dish. It is a rather competitive eating environment. But we do this on purpose. We want to encourage them to be fast, eager eaters. That's a very important trait in a sled dog. When they're out on the race trail, we fix a meal for them at the rest stop, present it to them. We want them to gobble it up right away, have time to digest it while they're resting, and not give the food an opportunity to freeze. Somewhere around 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to put mom back in the pen. She'll be all excited to see her pups, but then all of a sudden she'll put the brakes on and look up at us and say, I'm not going in there, they got teeth. She'll go running back to her doghouse and we'll know that she's officially made the puppies. We leave the puppies together for 3 to 4 months, continue to feed them out of the common food dish until we realize that some of the guys are getting more than their fair share. And then at that point, we get them out here in the dog lot, give them a house and food dish of their own. It's kind of a rite of passage for the dogs. Somewhere around 6, 7 months of age, we'll introduce them to a harness for the first time. That can be kind of a wild and crazy experience. If you've ever had a puppy, you can just imagine these dogs are bouncing all over the place. They're all excited to be doing something. They don't know what it is that they're about to be doing, but they're excited. It can take a few minutes just to get the harness on. We'll usually hook up a few puppies with some experienced dogs, and it takes 1 staff member per puppy just to keep them all pointed in the right direction, keep them from chewing on each other in the lines until we can release the brake and off they go. But within 100 feet, you wouldn't know that that's the first time they've ever done it. That's because it's instinctual for these dogs to run. We don't have to teach them to do that. Kind of like if you have a retriever puppy, roll a tennis ball across the floor, it goes and gets it, brings it back to you. It doesn't know why it does it, it just feels like the right thing to do. And that's because that's an instinct from the dog. Then we'll start taking them on longer and longer training runs, maybe some overnight camping trips. And then we'll introduce the yearlings to the race environment. This is Bailey here. I'll tell you a little bit about him in a moment. He's actually a puppy, one big puppy. Bailey is kind of an all-star. Ordinarily, when we're entering these young dogs in races, we're not trying to be competitive. Tell, after they're 2 years old or more. We're just trying to introduce them to the race environment. It's a completely different deal from what they've been doing so far, from the camping trips that they've been on. They'll be going on strange trails, sleeping in strange places, passing other dog teams, being checked over by veterinarians, that sort of thing. And the staff member that's out on these races with them will be taking a lot of notes to see how well they do. See who's always eager to get up and go after a rest break, how's their appetite, how tough are their feet, who likes to run in front. Because somewhere around 2 years of age, Jeff has to make a decision as to whether or not those dogs are going to stay here and join his competitive race team, or whether they will spend the rest of their lives elsewhere. And I'm sorry to disappoint anybody that may have been hoping to take a puppy home with you tonight. We never sell the puppies. That's not why we're breeding puppies here. We're breeding puppies to make and improve Jeff's Iditarod team. And all the dogs that we raise here are very good sled dogs. We are looking for the excellent, the cream of the crop, the Heisman Trophy winner, so to speak. And only about 10 to 20% of the dogs that we raise here will actually stay here and race with Jeff. The rest will be sold to another kennel, often competing in a lot of the same types of races, some very same races actually. Some of them will run in the Iditarod, perhaps at not such a competitive level. Although, when you've been in the business as long as Jeff has been in, sometimes you get beat by your own dog. It happened to Jeff a few years ago. He got to know him, wouldn't put his dog in the dog lot, and there was this dog, Handel, that was born and raised here. She was from the composer litter. Handel, Mozart, Schumann, and Bach. Handel beat Jeff to know him. She kind of looked up at him as if to say, "Hey, Jeff, good to see you. What took you so long?" He may have been having some second thoughts about the decision to sell Handel, but we're always proud of our dogs' accomplishments, whether they're with Jeff's team or somebody else's. And these guys are kind of like human athletes that get traded from one team to another, finally get with the right mix of players, everything gels, they get the right coaching staff, and they go out and win the championship. This guy is really special though. Bailey is, he's a fast learner, and he matured quite early for his age. Bailey was actually in Jeff's Iditarod team this year. It's highly unusual to have a dog that young under 18. Bailey is